Welcome to Mr. Giant Reacts and Ting and Ting and Ting. I'm Mr. Giant, back with another video for you. And let's talk about the Serbian here. You understand what I'm saying? The stolen greatness of Monica Seles. Let's go ahead and check this out. Let's YouTube and simmer all, yeah.
You are Steffi Graf. It is 1992, and you are the most dominant athlete on the planet. You have spent your life perfecting the most feared forehand in tennis history. But today, it doesn't matter. Across the net, a 19-year-old girl is doing something that shouldn't be physically possible. Every time you hit a winner, she is already there. Every time you look for an opening, she closes the angle. Monica Seles does not play tennis. She solves it. She hits with two hands on both sides, creating a geometry that defies the coaching manuals. She takes the ball on the rise, stealing your time and your breath. By age 19, she has already won 8 Grand Slams. She is on a mathematical trajectory to win 30 majors. She is on pace to become the greatest to ever hold a racket. Then, a man in Hamburg walks onto the court with a 9-inch knife, and in 1 second, the future of the sport is severed. This is the story of the stolen benchmark.
See, I remember that. I remember watching that back in the day. And honestly, Monica Seles was one of the people I used to love watching playing tennis. So I watched a lot of her matches and stuff. And I absolutely remember this incident happening. I'm going, what is going on here? You know what I mean? And violence in tennis was not a thing you hear about, you know what I mean? And that really took me off guard. Another thing too is like I didn't know she was Serbian back then. I had no clue she was Serbian. I don't know why. I didn't know that. Or I probably heard it, but you know. But I didn't know she was Serbian at all.
And why the record books...
I mean, later on I knew, but when I was watching her, I didn't.
In 1980, the city of Novi Sad sat in the northern reaches of Yugoslavia. A young girl named Monica stood in a gravel parking
Novi
lot.
Sad,
She wasn't looking at a
place.
coach. She was looking at a cartoon mouse drawn on a brick wall. Her father, Karoy, had sketched Jerry the mouse at a specific height. He told her to hit the mouse with the ball. It was a simple game of accuracy, but the equipment was a problem. Monica was small, and the wooden rackets of the era were heavy and unforgiving. She could not swing the frame with just one hand. Karoy did not force her to follow the standard coaching textbook. He let her put 2 hands on the grip. Then he let her put 2 hands on the other side as well. In the eyes of the tennis establishment, this was a technical dead end. 2 hands on both sides meant a shorter reach and restricted wingspan, but Karoy saw a mechanical advantage that everyone else missed. By using both arms, Monica could generate massive torque from her core. She was uncoiling her entire body like a heavy spring. This created a strike that was flat, fast, and incredibly deep. The shorter reach actually allowed her to manipulate the racket head with more precision. She could pull the ball so far wide that opponents were forced into the doubles alley. This was the extreme short-angle cross-court, a shot that redefined the physics of the baseline. By 1989, at age 15, she won her first pro final against Chris Evert. The tennis world was confused. They called her style ugly and her grunting.
That's another thing I remember about her, that primal yell that she used to do all the time when she hit the ball. That's one of the reasons, you know, I would go to the kitchen and then I was like, oh, the game started because I heard Monica yelling when she hit the ball.
A distraction. They did not realize they were looking at a machine designed for total conquest. By the summer of 1990, Steffi Graf was a law of nature. She had won 66 consecutive matches. She possessed a forehand built on pure, unadulterated athleticism. Then she met Monica in the final at Roland Garros. The crowd expected a coronation for the German star. Instead, they witnessed a tactical revolution. Monica utilized a mechanism the sport had never seen perfected, hitting on the rise. Most players wait for the ball to reach the apex of its bounce. This gives the opponent time to recover and find center court. Monica stepped inside the baseline. She struck the ball while it was still rising, intercepting its upward trajectory. By hitting on the rise, she stole the opponent's reaction time. It reduced the defensive window from half a second to nearly a third. Graf found herself constantly rushed and visually panicked. The Fräulein forehand began to miss the lines for the first time in years. Monica won the match in straight sets. At 16 years and 6 months, she was the youngest champion in Paris history. The 66
I remember that.
was dead. The monarchy had fallen. But Monica was not satisfied with a single title. She was about to turn the WTA Tour into a private laboratory. We can debate the aesthetics of her game, but we cannot debate the math. Between 1991 and 1993, Monica Seles achieved a level of dominance that defies historical patterns. She entered 34 tournaments and reached 33 finals. In the Grand Slams, she won
She was
7
killing
of the
it,
last
man.
9 she entered. Her win-loss record during this period was 159 wins and 12 losses. That is a 92.9% success rate. In 1992 alone, she faced the top 10 24 times and won 22. She had achieved the impossible. She had solved the Steffi Graf problem. But there was a second, even larger collision on the horizon. In 1999, a 17-year-old Serena Williams won the U.S. Open. In our timeline, she stepped into a power vacuum left by a diminished Seles. But in the alternate timeline, Serena would have run into a 25-year-old wall. Seles would have been in her absolute physical prime. We would have seen Seles' relentless angles versus Serena's unstoppable serve.
That would have been great to
If Monica
watch.
wins even a fraction of those battles, the 24 major record is shattered early. Mathematically, Seles was on a trajectory to reach 30 Grand Slams. She was on pace to surpass Court, Graf, and Serena before her 30th birthday. She was about to become an untouchable god of the baseline. And then, the math stopped. The world was about to learn that a calculator cannot account for malice. April 30th, 1993, Hamburg, Germany. Seles was leading Magdalena Maleva 6-4, 4-3. During the changeover, she sat in her chair, leaning forward for a sip of water. She was in her safe space. Behind her, a 38-year-old man named Gunter Krone stood up.
Corona, man.
He was a
Grown
fanatical
man.
supporter of Steffi Graf. He could not stand to see his idol being erased by the teenager. He did not want to kill Monica. He wanted to disable her. He lunged over the railing with a 9-inch boning knife. He drove the blade between her shoulder blades. The sound of the crowd was a confused, muffled gasp. Monica stood up, clutching her back, before collapsing into an official's arms.
As a child, you went in there and did that too. That dude had to had some kind of a mental stuff going on there. That's just crazy. I do not understand the violence in sports at all, period. It's supposed to be entertainment. It's supposed to be entertainment, people. We gonna do crazy stuff like this, you know what I mean? So obsessed with Steffi Graf that he had to do this to this young lady. And, you know, it's not just this either. I mean, you see parents fighting at games now, just beating on each other. They're not even part of the game. They're on the sidelines throwing punches and fighting. You see that at football games, at soccer games and all that. What are you fighting for? It's a game. You're supposed to enjoy, sit down, relax and enjoy the competition, the camaraderie. No, this guy had mental issues. What do we say for all the parents fighting and all the people fighting in the stands and stuff? That we have a society of people filled with mental issues. They're fighting over a game. He did this over a tennis game. Doesn't make any sense. Can't even enjoy sports anymore without people going off the deep end about it. It's kind of like the World Cup. I was enjoying the World Cup until everybody started talking about conspiracy, this, oh, this, that, the other. And it's just like, God, can a body enjoy the sport without all that other mess going on?
The wound was only 1.5 centimeters deep. Physically, she would be healed in weeks, but the knife had cut through more than muscle. It had severed the connection between her mind and the court. While Monica was fighting PTSD in Florida, the tour moved on. The players held a vote to see if her ranking should be frozen. They voted 17-0 against her. Only Gabriella Sabatini refused to vote against a colleague.
I remember
in the hospital
Gabriella.
bed. The message from the tour was clinical and cold. The game moves on, with or without its greatest player. The most dominant career in tennis history was ended, not by a better player, but by a committee of peers. To understand why the record books are alive.
See, that's the thing, man. She had that happen to her, and then the other players didn't stand behind her. They give her time to come back and stuff. They're like, she's done. Let's get her out of there. That's messed up.
Look at the trauma tax. Seles' game was entirely dependent on frame-perfect footwork. In the 3 years before the attack, her win percentage was 93%. In the 3 years after her return, it dropped to 78%. That 15% gap is the statistical signature of a stolen prime. When she finally faced Serena in 1997, Monica was physically transformed to her detriment. She was slower and battling a binge eating disorder triggered by the trauma. In their real matches, Serena's power overwhelmed Monica's diminished movement. But a pre-attack Seles had a return of serve success rate that rivaled Agassi. She would have neutralized Serena's serve by cutting her recovery time by 40%. It would have been the ultimate collision of geometry versus power. The tragedy is that we use Serena's 23 majors as the ceiling. But Seles was the only player statistically destined to reach 30. She didn't just lose her career in Hamburg. She lost her claim to being the undisputed greatest of all time. Today, we see Graf at 22 and Serena at 23. But there is a phantom number hovering over the sport. It is the ghost of a career that was solved and then erased. There will never be another Monica Seles, because the sport will never again let a genius get that close to breaking the game.
When she came back, it's like, wow. You could just tell, man, the heart wasn't in it. I would be wary too, you know what I mean? Imagine sitting out on that court and all these people are around you, and you have to sit with your back towards them, fighting that type of mental battle, and going to play the best players in the world at the same time on the court. That would break any human being. That would break any human being. That's kind of sad that that happened to her, because she was one of the, and she was Serbian too. You know what I'm saying? I can't believe I didn't know that. Why didn't I know that? See, I have a tendency to watch sports, you know what I mean? And unless they keep saying this person is American, this person is this country, that person is that country, unless they keep saying that, and I'm actually paying attention to that, because I really don't. I don't care where you're from. If you're playing good, I'm going to watch you. I'm going to watch you. You know what I mean? If you're playing good ball, I'm watching. I'm enjoying. It's entertainment. That's what it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? If a Grenadian is playing a Jamaican, and the Jamaican played well and beat the Grenadian, I enjoyed watching it. Gonna get you next time. That's how I see it. But then, I don't know. Maybe a lot of people are like that too, but it doesn't seem so. The fervor that everybody have when it comes to sports and things, man. I hope you guys enjoyed this reaction, learned something about Steffi Graf. Why am I saying Steffi Graf? Monica Seles. Monica Seles. Hope you guys are having a great day, man. Y'all take care of each other. Let's try to keep the peace that we have in this world, okay?